Hey there, Jon Chorba here from ReallyEasyGuitarLessons.com, and in this video lesson, I'm going to show you how to play an easy strummy version of Folsom Prison Blues by Johnny Cash. So on live performances on the recording, there's multiple guitar parts. Johnny Cash usually plays an acoustic guitar, and the other guitar player would play an electric guitar. So in this video lesson, I'm just talking about really the acoustic guitar parts. I'm not trying to match any one performance or recording specifically note for note, but just give you the general idea of what chords are involved and a simple strumming pattern that you could do to play the song. So let's jump in and get started. Okay, so we're gonna put a capo on the first fret for this song, and everything, all the chords are gonna be in relationship to the capo. So the first chord is gonna be an E major, open E, middle finger on the second fret of the A, ring finger on the second fret of the D, index finger on the first fret of the G, open B, open E, play all 6 strings, and you got yourself an E chord. And then we have an A, which you can either do the scrunch version where you put all 3 of your fingers on the second fret of the D, G, and B. But I'm actually gonna play it like with a little mini bar, so I'm using my first finger to hold down the second fret of the D, G, and B, and playing from the A string down. But you could just as easily play that version if that suits you better. And then the last one is a B7, which I'm gonna do second fret of the A string with my middle finger. My index finger is on the first fret of the D, and my ring finger is on the second fret of the G, and I'm playing just from the A string to the B string. Don't play either E or it will not sound good. Okay, so just 3 chords in the whole thing. E, A, and B7. So first let me show you the intro, because the intro riff is kind of iconic and it's not really hard to do. So you're starting with a B7 chord. All right, so start with a B7, okay? And if you're keeping time to yourself, this first note is gonna start on the and of 3. So if you're counting 1 and 2 and 3, and that and of 3 is where it's gonna start. But we'll talk about that once I start playing it to a metronome. So it's gonna start on the second fret of the A string, and we're gonna play it 3 times. And then we're gonna play the D string. Again, you're just holding the chord form out, and you play the D string twice. And then quickly play the A string and the D string. And then move your middle finger to the second fret of the E string and give a little bend, okay? All right, and then we're gonna move into an E chord for the rest of the intro, so. And then that E chord is just gonna last for one more measure before we get into the verse. And then there's only really one progression in the whole song. All right, it's gonna be E for 4 measures, and a measure equals 4 beats. So this would be 16 total beats on the E, all right? And then we're gonna change to A for 2 measures, 8 beats. And then we're gonna go back to E for 2 measures. And then 2 measures of B7, followed by 1 measure of E. Okay, so E is both the beginning and the ending of the progression. 4 measures of E, 2 measures of A, 2 measures of E, 2 measures of B7, 1 measure of E as the progression loops around, okay? So you're gonna be doing that progression pretty much for the entire song, a little alteration at the end. And let's talk about how we're gonna strum it. So we're gonna use boom chicka strumming, okay? Boom chicka strumming sounds like this. Okay, so that's a down, down, up motion. But the thing that makes boom chicka is that the first down is on the low part of the chord, and the chicka is on the high part of the chord. So if I'm on an E chord, the first down strum I do, I'm not hitting all the strings, I'm just hitting the low strings of the chord. And then the chicka, the down up, I'm gonna do it on the high strings of the chord. Okay, and so, boom chicka, boom chicka, boom chicka, boom chicka. 4 boom chickas equals 1 measure. So that means you're gonna do that 16 times on the E, 8 times on the A, 8 times on the E, 8 times on the B7, and then 4 times on the last E. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate it now. I'm going to put on a metronome and the isolated vocal from a live performance. Hopefully this doesn't get blocked. If you're not hearing Johnny Cash's vocal, it's because this video got blocked and I had to re-upload it with me just playing it by myself. So if you hear this, great, I didn't get blocked. So here we go. I'm going to just go ahead and demonstrate with Johnny. All right, if you're hearing this version, it's because the one with Johnny's vocal got blocked. So this is just me playing it to a metronome. All right, so song structure, you have the intro, which I showed you, and then you're gonna do that main progression 5 total times. So first time will be the first verse, and the second verse, and then you have the first solo, the third verse, and then the second solo. Again, you're just hanging on that main progression the entire time. And then the fourth verse is the main progression. You're just gonna alter the end of it. So on the instead of the measure where you do a measure of E, you actually just go back to kind of doing the intro riff. So let me show you how that goes. Just like that. So with all really easy strumming versions of songs, you want to make sure that you know the chords first. There's only 3 in this case, and they're the 3 that I think I teach to complete beginners all the time. E, A, and B7 are very, very simple to get your head around. The changes in your fingers are very minimal, so it should be pretty easy for you. But if you have any issues with changing between any of those chords, you gotta focus on them. You can't focus on chord changing enough as a beginner. It is super important. And with the strumming, you know, I did this at like a normal speed of what the live performance tempo was like. So you feel free to slow it down to whatever tempo feels the most comfortable for you. Again, when you're adding strumming to your chord change, you want to be listening for and watching out for any long gaps of silence between your chord changes. That is the tell that you got to work on your chord changes more. All right, that's it for this video lesson. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.